Okay, guys, I'm going to introduce you to our on-the-road pastor and his wife, Shane and Sarah. So I'm going to ask them some questions, and if you guys got questions, put them down there and we'll get back to you. Thank you. Okay, how we first met Shane and Sarah, we were in Kentucky, and there was a grown man out there behind our RV with 3 little kids, and they were looking at spiders. I asked him what they were doing, and he said, "Oh, it's a science project." So that's our Shane, and here's our Sarah.
That was an interesting moment.
It was.
It was a lot of fun.
I thought, ooh, spiders. Okay, so Shane, my first question is, can you talk about how you even got to this point to where you're on the road, and how long have you been on the road?
It's a good question. So we came on the road. Initially, we just bought a camper. I was a pastor at a traditional church in Roseville, California, not far from y'all. And we wanted to be able to get closer to the church we were pastoring at, and we wanted to be able to still travel during the weekdays. And so we bought a fifth wheel, sold our house, and we were living up in Loomis, California. And upon a weekend trip or a weekday trip, we fell in love with full-time RVers and started asking the question, like, what do you do for church? And most of them didn't have an answer. So there wasn't really church on the road. There's churches to go to, but no one really likes going to a church as a newcomer for the first time, let alone doing that every single weekend.
Right.
So how could we be a church or be the church to full-time RVers? And so that's kind of what brought us on the road, was figuring out how to minister to full-time RVers. Yeah.
So you and Sarah have 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And how is it on the road with 3 kids in a trailer?
It's great. I mean, homeschooling, you've been talking about like homeschooling?
Yeah.
I mean, homeschooling is pretty easy. You think people were kind of nervous like when we left, like, are your kids going to get socialization and stuff? But there are so many kids here. And so there's tons of community for the kids. And, homeschool, like you think traditional school, they're in school for like 6 hours, and they really only do a few hours of work.
Yeah.
Everything else is like all the in between, the transition. And so really we just get up and we do homework for, the first half of the day, and then they have the rest of the day to explore and play with their friends and be outside, and it's been great. Yeah. I mean, we have 3 kids. We have a son who is 11, almost 12, a daughter who's 10, and then a daughter who's 5.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
And how do you feel like that they have adjusted to this life?
We talk all the time. We ask them, like, are you guys tired of this lifestyle? Do you want to go home? We don't have a home to go home to, but do you want to go back to California? Do you want to settle down? And they go, wow, all of our friends are on the road.
I will say though, like when we first left, they were a little sad and they had their moments. Like I think Presley, our 10-year-old, she was like, I just need some space sometimes.
But we've been on the road for 3 years, and that.
Well, hold on, let me finish.
Go ahead.
And but then after like I would say a year on the road, maybe a year and a half, we've asked them again, like, do you want to go back? And they're like, oh no, we definitely don't want to go back. Like we miss our family, we would like to visit them, but we love it on the road. They love the adventures, they love the community that we've built. So yeah, they're pretty happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Sarah, you work on the road?
Yep.
And so, how does that work out? And plug your ears.
Don't know a thing.
Who does the dishes? Who does the laundry?
I would say that we have pretty traditional roles. So, except for the fact that I make the main income, but just kidding.
I love it. I'm a sugar mama.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go back to I work on the road. I work full time remotely. I do utility procurement and contracting and stuff, and I got a temporary contract position, so I can work and I can travel, and they're fine with it. And I work, normal 9 to 5, 8 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
It shifts as we travel in time zones. But it's pretty easy because, instead of walking to, the conference room or like, chatting with some employees and things, like all those things, that time that you waste during the day is time that I get to do laundry, do dishes, right? Help out with the kids' homeschool. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's different than traditional where you turn on your work hat. You leave the kids. You turn on your work hat. You do work, and then you turn that off, and then you go home and you become mom. It's just all intermingled all the time.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then as far as our roles, I would say we have fairly traditional roles. Like I maintain the home for the most part. Cook, clean. I mean, you cook a lot though.
So I feel like I do majority of the cooking.
I do all the cleaning and the organizing and the laundry for sure. I mostly do that. Shane does everything outside. Poop hoses.
I don't poop outside. I just want to make that very clear.
He works on
I
everything.
do that inside.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He
Thank
does
you for
all
that.
the, he works on all the things. He does all the, the manly stuff. But he does cook a lot. And I will say though, I make the meal plan. So I usually plan like grilling meals because, then he'll do it.
Happy to do it.
So it's a good balance.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Travel days. How do you guys do with travel days? And don't you say a word, Stephen, about travel days.
I hate travel days. I'll tell you, I love to drive, but driving with a 45-foot fifth wheel behind you is not a love for driving. People obviously cut you off. There's a lot of nerves to that. 3 kids in a back seat, a dog in a back seat, and Sarah's like the greatest passenger princess ever because she's taking care of the kids, making sure there's snacks and everyone's taken care of. Mapping out.
It's this
gas
constantly.
stops. Oh yeah, it is.
Oh, here. Oh, you want this? Oh, okay. Hold on. Here.
but we found now, like, to mitigate the suckiness, if you will, of travel days is we try to keep them at 3 to 5 hours, and that definitely it's kind of basically there's one meal in the car, so it's not like we're doing like breakfast and lunch or lunch and dinner in the vehicle. We can leave right after breakfast, we can have lunch, we can get there, get set up, and then do dinner. And so far travel days have been great. We've been in Florida with you guys, so it's been like travel days have been like 2 hours.
Yeah,
they've been short.
Been nice.
They've been short, so we're not looking forward to those like 4, 5, 6 hour travel days.
And I think like we could travel 8 hours in a day, but
Oh, yeah.
we tend to just break it up because it's just too much. It's hard for the kids. It's hard for us. We're tired. We get cranky, after that long in the car. So we'll do harvest toast where we'll stop for the night and we'll just we'll just break it in half and then we'll get to the harvest toast. Hopefully it's somewhere interesting, a farm or a winery or something, or just something that we can do, that we
Golf
can get
courses are
dinner.
awesome.
Often where we can get dinner,
Yeah.
and then it helps break it up for the kids and
that's
gives us some time.
Have you ever felt unsafe being on the road?
That's a
Yes.
good question. Yeah, we've had a few moments.
Ohio.
Yeah,
I would
we
say.
we were in a campground or in a harvest host. Stayed overnight in Ohio, and we just didn't do our research. And usually we go to campgrounds, we do research of the place, crimes, stuff like that. We did not do that at a harvest host because it was just one of those things. We're staying for a night. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And we were so uncomfortable. We didn't sleep well, but we woke up early and we left. We woke up to a flea market actually, and then we left.
And
then,
I just remember someone who came by and said, "I'm surprised you have that nice camper here." It was at a drive-in movie theater, and he's
yeah.
like, "This is the project." So I was like, "Oh."
I was like, I didn't know
I
that.
kind of felt like it a little bit when I got there.
So it was, it was interesting. But that's really, I can tell you, out of the, well over 700 days that we've been on the road, I guess we're approaching well over 900 days on the road.
Yeah, we didn't talk about how long we were on the road.
Yeah, I
3
mean,
years.
that's probably the only time. The only other time that we felt unsafe might have been situational to, this lifestyle. There's a lot of people, a lot of different people, different backgrounds.
Yeah.
But it's been very situational, very different. I actually feel like in this lifestyle, this community, there's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of safety. There's a lot of people that are looking out for you.
Right.
So,
I think so too.
yeah.
I think so too. Okay, so this is a dual question. What has been the best times as far as where you've been, and what has been your worst times?
Ooh, you do best, I'll do worst.
Best place.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what's your favorite?
We have had so many good things. I mean, we definitely love the Keys. I think that's a favorite for us. Just the sunshine, the fishing. We went tried lobstering. And
Like diving for them.
Yeah, so I think that was really that pushed us all out of our comfort zone, the kids snorkeling and things like that. So that was really fun. And we like to adventure and we like to, be outside. And then Silver Springs, actually in Florida here, was one of my favorite things. And it was just through this, like paddleboarding through the springs and seeing alligators. And, we've also done it here, but it was a little bit different, the crystal clear waters of Silver Springs. And
Yeah, because there's gators in the water back here.
and that was the first time we'd ever paddleboard with gators. And in Silver Springs they're little, most of them.
Yeah, true.
Not here. These guys are a little bigger. This is like a step up.
Yep. Good. Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna and then Niagara Falls was amazing.
Yep.
That was a standout moment.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'd say worst. It wasn't even a worst place. We haven't really been in a lot of places we don't like. We had one bad situation in unfortunately upstate New York. That wasn't my favorite. It's beautiful, but the worst time we had is when our roof blew off of our RV. So overall, worst experience. While we had our roof come off one time, and I was like, all right, well, we got to get this fixed. And so we got it fixed. It came off another time, and then they came out and fixed it one more time, and then it came off a third time, and I was about ready to set my RV on fire because I was so frustrated. But the good thing is we have a whole brand new lifetime warranty roof, lifetime expectancy roof. So God did incredible things through that. But it was definitely a testing time. So that had nothing to do with the location. Every location we've been to, we love finding new culture, meeting new people. It's a learning curve every time you go somewhere new.
We didn't like the humidity in Mississippi. I'll say that.
That was hot. And it's weird that when you go into a state and you can feel the air. I'm not used to that. Where you can feel the presence of air all over
when
you.
it grabs you.
It
like
hugs
a
you.
blanket.
You're like, what is
How you
happening?
doing?
I like that. It's a weird feeling.
We've gotten used to humidity, but growing up in California, it was I think it's average of 30% humidity,
Oh yeah.
and now we've been in 90%, 100%, so
Yeah.
It's
we've gotten used to it.
It's
but
a different feeling.
Yes, it's different.
Yeah.
So now, how did you get started doing the nomads?
The ministry part.
Right.
Well, Sarah and I initially, like I said earlier, we knew we were going to do ministry on the road, so we just assumed keep it simple, right? You ever heard of the KISS method? Keep it simple, silly. That's the PG version. But anyways, we just said, hey, let's gather people around a fire. Let's talk about Jesus. Sarah's a worship leader, so she can get her guitar out. We can do some songs around the fire, and we'll see who shows up. What we didn't realize is that people are hungry for community and fellowship. That means a lot more than just standing around the fire and shooting the talk. And so what was awesome is we saw people just really hungry to get in the Word, actually talk about Scripture, talk about their relationship with Jesus. And what kind of developed after that is we found other people that said, we want that and we want to do it. How do we do this together? And so Gathering of Nomads kind of became this almost like micro church network of nomadic people on the road, where now we have 15 chapters of other families that are out doing the same thing, hosting Bible studies, gathering people, essentially doing church, if you will, without a building. And so what we hear is a lot of people saying, yeah, we stopped visiting a church and we started being the church. And there's nothing more rewarding hearing somebody say that they've been going to church for their entire life going, I've only ever gone to church, I've never been the church. And now you have people being the church. So it's really encouraging.
Yeah, I'll just add, before leaving California and being in traditional ministry, Shane's being a pastor, we've just always been a ministry family. That's just always how, ever since God called you really clearly to ministry, that's just kind of been our call. So going on the road, it was there's no difference. Ministry for us is not just an occupation. It's not I'm an adult now, I should go get a job at a church. It's no, this is a deep calling within us, and it's so on the road, it's just ministry all the time. It doesn't have to be in a building. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just we do ministry. That is our calling on our life. So I don't know. It's just been cool how it's just progressed and naturally developed.
I think the best example that I've been able to give to somebody who doesn't know this lifestyle, which I imagine a lot of your viewers aren't in this lifestyle yet, or thinking about it, or want to be in it. Imagine, for the ministry side of it, imagine if your church was right in the middle of an apartment complex, and the people that are in the apartment complex are the people that go to your church. No one comes to your church outside of the apartment complex, but where you work every single day and you go to work, your office is there and your house is there, and it's all in that apartment complex. So imagine just having that much of a concentration, where every time we pull into an RV community, we're recognized as ministers of the gospel, let alone, but they understand who Gathering of Nomads is. They've heard of it somewhere. Because there's not a lot of ministry that's taking place in this full-time world. So it feels really, I'm going to use the word simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple. It's replicable. People get excited about just a fellowship that's happening around the fire. There's no better way of doing church than around a fire pit, in my opinion. Now,
Mine too.
I mean, it just feels right. And it's not just because of the lifestyle, just because you saw the people walking around the campground, multiple times in the week, and then Tuesday shows up, or Thursday night, or Sunday morning shows up, and it's like, hey, now it's fellowship time. This is our time to get in the Word. But you get to see the people regularly throughout the week. So it's not like just a one time. You don't just get to see them on Sunday. You get to see people consistently all week long. So we love that. That's just, I think, one of our favorite things.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is, like, you see people again and again. Like in a traditional church, you see the same person once a week. Maybe outside of a Sunday, but it's like over time you see them a lot, right? But so we do have that because we have the community that we see. They'll travel away for a while, and then we'll match up and we'll see them again, and then we have a lot of follow up there. But then also, one thing I just love is that we're meeting new people all the time, and I think that it's not just about exciting to meet new people. It's like God brings us different people all the time, and the experiences and the growth that we've gotten through that because we've talked and communed with so many different people with different struggles, with different backgrounds, with different lifestyles. It's been really cool to grow in that and how we do ministry. It's not just the same people all the time.
Yeah.
So
that's a good word. We stay really encouraged consistently, and it's all God. It's definitely not us, but hearing people's backgrounds that they come from denominations. Everyone that if they're a believer on the road, they have a denominational value, or they've had a church experience of some sort. So they may not even be walking with the Lord, but they've got a church experience. And so there's some preconceived notions that come from church or Christianity or people of faith. And what's weird is that we don't really align with a lot of those boxes. Love Jesus, love the Lord, talk about who God is. We talk about death and resurrection. We talk about Scripture pretty consistently. And all these things are happening life on life. So they're not just happening where you only get an hour window to shoot your shot. Or hopefully you've done a good enough job inviting people in. We're doing life with people. And so sometimes we're just having a fire, and then all of a sudden church starts happening. And we weren't planning on it happening, but it's happening.
or sometimes you're emptying your black tanks and church starts happening.
I mean, it is. You just
People walk
never.
up and talk to you. It's any time.
You just never
You're
know.
always ready.
Yeah, and
Always have to be ready.
and we get really excited. So one of the things that we say, people ask often, what denomination are you, or what's your theology about this and that? And we say we're interdenominational. We're not here to draw lines in the sand where they shouldn't exist. And so we like to really welcome anybody and everybody to come in for the sake of fellowship, and they're going to hear the truth of the gospel whether they like it or not. That's unfortunately what they're going to get. But we're not trying to tell people that this is how they better think or else. This is just a time to people get to see the fruit of Jesus in your life. I know people have seen the fruit of Jesus in your lives, and that's what we want to see consistently. Live your faith, let your faith be ahead of your theology, live with boldness, and God's going to show up. And so
Now, with your gathering the nomads, I know you go out and help other people do other things. Somebody has a problem with such and such, you're right there. You or somebody else in your flock is there to help push them through. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And I have a memory.
Uh-oh.
I have a memory of I
She's
was
the one.
sick as a dog,
Hmm.
and your little sweet daughter came into the house
Mm-hmm.
and said, "I need to pray for you."
Aww.
So that's
Has to be
my
impressive.
favorite.
Yep, definitely.
But I just really think that whatever you guys are doing and how you guys are doing it is a great, great thing for people like Steve and I who wandering and want to be a part of a church. You have given us, you have given us, a helping hand up.
Yeah.
So we really
Yep.
appreciate that.
Yep.
But
Well, you guys kind of adopted our kids as your grandkids, so it was easy. It was just an easy thing. And I'll say this: the ministry work that we do, I wish it was as simple as just doing a Bible study once a week. We love that part. It is those things that Scripture reminds us that your faith is so important, but faith without works is dead, and there needs to be not just opportunity for works, but like a commission, an understanding, a commitment to actually go and do works. And so we say, man, we just pray, like the pray without ceasing scripture maybe is misunderstood to the part like, okay, so all I'm supposed to do is pray. But it's that pray without ceasing, knowing that like God is in the middle of all the things that you do. Like our slogan is life is an adventure, invite God into it. Pray without ceasing, share God without ceasing. Like invite God into all the things that you're doing. There's a good chance that he might redirect you and put you on a different path. He's done that to us a couple times. But the reality is that God needs to be in the midst of all of it. And so we're always trying to help people see that thing. Like your life is an adventure, but bring God into all the things that you're doing. Not just like a weekend thing, not just a Sunday experience. And so whether it's helping somebody move an RV, praying over somebody on a travel day, or praying for somebody when they're sick, or because we're the church in the church world, people call the church usually for financial help, for situational help, for counseling. Like we've happily stepped into that role, not because we believe we're the sole ones, but because we know we're going to be a part of that solution. And what we're seeing is that God is starting to bring in a lot of other people to be those same solutions. It can't just be Sarah and I. We know that, right? God has called so many people. I mean, there's millions of full-time RVers. That's bonkers to say millions. There's no church that can serve 1 million people. So we know that that's not us, but our replicative model, right? Teaching and training other people to do it. We believe Gathering of Nomads as an entity will help serve what Matthew 6:33 says, which is to seek first the kingdom and all of God's righteousness, and all the things of the world. Either God's going to handle it or you're not going to want it anymore. And we live by that pretty consistently. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's about it of all my questions. Appreciate you guys coming over
Yeah.
and hanging out
Absolutely.
with us. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
You got something to say?
No, I think you pretty much said it all as usual.
All right. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.